There's a new generation of Vietnamese gyms. There's a new generation of Vietnamese MMA promotions.
Yeah.
There's a new generation of international promotions coming to Vietnam to hold events. And we're talking exponential growth.
How does the community here in Vietnam compare to other places you train? But when I came here, I hit a bunch of different gyms. I think the second one I went to was Team Shark.
Welcome to the Saigon Saga, where we cover combat sports in Vietnam and have fun while doing it.
I started running as of 2 weeks ago.
What?
I know. That's how I feel about it as well.
Well, so why are you running? Where are you running?
Rooster Muay Thai.
Tough match.
Yeah, things escalate.
It was a real tough. It was a really tough match.
But you know,
Where
I'm
I
feeling
felt-
fatigued when I just sit down.
That's the position I need to work on is passing guard, and your guard has gotten significantly better, and it really challenges me.
Yeah.
And in the moment it's frustrating.
That's
In the moment it's frustrating,
And what about afterwards? Like you're lying in bed, trying to go to sleep. Is that frustrating or is that just infuriating?
I mean, I still scored 3 points that day.
Yeah, I don't see the footage.
The footage exists on at least 2
Then it'll
cameras.
have to come out.
Okay, so like from now on we're just making clips of every scoring technique.
Okay, so it's Zach pretending to pass guard versus
I had it for
foot
3
sweep.
seconds. I had it for 3 seconds. The foot sweep does not count as a takedown.
Oh man, it's beautiful though.
It's a beautiful sweep. It is absolute beautiful foot sweep, guys. It really is. We'll watch it right here. Here's the foot sweep. Oh man, I didn't that moment.
Enjoyable.
It wasn't. It was a really good foot sweep. It really was. And for that reason.
You know, that sweep was 6 months in the making. I've been trying to hit this technique for a long time, and you know, sometimes you just get lucky.
So it's interesting because really you and An are the reasons why I had to change my training regimen. You know, An gets a takedown on me.
Retires.
He retires, right? An had been going to Raymond's class for the better part of 4 to 5 months, and he was noticeably tougher, very hard to take down. And then I started going to Raymond's class, you know, and then you got that foot sweep on me, and I was like, okay, maybe I should start going to Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Right. So now I go to Muay Thai, which I've only have 2 Muay Thais, but it's amazing. And really, the clinch is what made me go because it's the intersection of wrestling and striking.
Mm-hmm. It turns grappling into combat because wrestling is wrestling, but once you're in the Muay Thai clinch, you really feel like, okay, this is more of a weapon. Like I'm not just clinching, I'm not just putting my head forward and trying to pressure my man. Like you need to watch out for elbows, you need to watch out for knees. There's so many more variables.
I just never really made that connection.
Yeah.
You know, because I've always associated striking with just getting punched in the face in the cage by Felipe. Yeah, you know.
Well, like we all start there, right? That's the
man.
building block for all of us.
After it must have been 4 or 5 practices, just 1 hour, sometimes an hour and a half.
Just conditioning
Just
the face.
Conditioning the face.
Yeah.
Just taking punches, you know, and did not a lot of direction. Just keep your hands up and bam, just in the face. But it makes me appreciate Lucas's class that much more. And Lucas's class is very fun.
Yeah,
So,
it's fun. It's a great workout. I feel like my cardio since I started training with him has really lifted and elevated. Like I'm never getting tired in the jiu-jitsu room.
yeah.
I don't be hitting every round.
You don't get tired.
Never getting fatigued. And my base when it comes to wrestling is from training in the Muay Thai clinch. Mostly just getting thrown around in the ring by Lucas has somehow made me improve.
He effortlessly can sweep me at any time.
But like anything, I just keep my combat game has really just evolved to deal with whatever you present me. I could care less about accolades, what other guys are doing, who is better than me.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about just showing up and beating Zac. There's nothing else that I really care about. And I think that's what everyone else wants to see. Like maybe Ann will actually come back. I don't think he'll continue grappling, but I think he may return to the gym just to see me present you with some humble pie.
I hope so.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see him again. It's been too long.
Yeah, so he just focuses on Muay Thai now.
He just vanished.
And he's doing that to prepare for his first MMA fight. He feels that he needs to focus on striking more.
Yeah, but you know the thing with Ann is like, first he's just getting into bodybuilding, then it's powerlifting, then he discovers jiu-jitsu. Okay, 2 months, just wrestling.
Yeah.
Then he wrestles for a bit. It's a little bit too hard. Let's move to Muay Thai.
I don't think he said it was too hard.
I don't know. We're just gonna see what's next for An. Like he's just on this rotating schedule.
He was a great wrestling student. He was good to have in class.
But he's a little bit too athletic. You know, it's unfair at the rate he can progress and whatever he puts his hand up. So we're gonna have to get him on the show.
Yeah.
Ask him a few questions about what is next in his sporting career.
But I think that
because 2 to 3 months he's really just maxing out at that point. Like he's gonna be looking for something new.
Yeah. I mean, I think it just highlights the Vietnam combat sports community is a really special place, a really special thing that we have here. We have a lot of different competitors, a lot from all over the world. Some key influencers from they represent a lot of different gyms and styles. We've got the Dagestani Raimond wrestling coach. We've got Lucas from Belgium, who's an amazing striking coach. We've got Cory from New York, who is an encyclopedia of grappling knowledge, and a lot of other gyms. So for me, it's almost the Vietnam combat sports community for me is almost like, it's kind of like, having a bunch of friends like you had in college, and we see each other every day, and we're training all these different sports,
but without the schoolwork. So you've been training with Rafael Raimond, and how does that compare training with the Dagestani, revisiting wrestling as an adult? Because you wrestled at VMI D1 in the States, then took a decent portion of time off, got back into jiu-jitsu, got into grappling, and now you're back in the wrestling room with training with Rafael. Like, how is the approach different? How are you looking at things differently as an adult? Do you feel like you're in better shape now, even though you're older?
Good question, because it was 20 years ago. My last year that I competed in college was 20 years ago, in 2003-2004 season. Since then, I started grappling consistently since 2020. A little bit in 2018 in Hanoi with Mr. Ba and Jacob Young, who was my first jiu-jitsu coach. He was a black belt in 3 or 4 different martial arts, 3rd degree black belt jiu-jitsu. We only did gi at the time, but he at the time he was like seemingly invincible. He was very good, and he said that he saw a lot of potential in me. And
in jiu-jitsu?
In jiu-jitsu,
okay,
yes.
With the wrestling background.
And which meant a lot to me. But it wasn't until 2020 to where I started really training consistently. But my approach was, I would say, is a little off base, because with the advantage that I have with wrestling, if you come in with high level wrestling, you have an advantage. But I kind of took it the wrong way. I kind of tried to wrestle everybody, right? And that's only going to take you so far. So you really have to learn jiu-jitsu. So it took a few years, about 2 years, to really fuse wrestling and jiu-jitsu and to kind of understand how the moves work together and come up with like match-winning strategies. My strategies have been basically, I developed heavy defensive strategies, front headlock, back takes, things of that nature. Things that not necessarily what you see in an exciting Division I or an Olympic wrestling match. You're going to see double legs, you're going to see single legs, you're going to see, a lot of throws and things like that. That really wasn't my approach. My approach was more safe, right? When you take a shot, a single leg or a double leg shot in jiu-jitsu, you're going into all of your opponent's defenses, right? If you don't do the shot properly, you're going to get choked, you're going to get your back taken, and even if that doesn't happen, a lot of your energy is gone, right?
So you're talking about the difference between like highlight reels and effective match-winning strategies.
Absolutely.
So right now it's all about medals. Just trying to.
So for me, it was not about highlight reels. It was about I just want to win. I don't want to give up any position, things of that nature. Training with Raymond, if you want to do a single leg or a double leg shot in jiu-jitsu, you better do it perfect. You better do it right. You better be explosive, right? My approach was just take the back, just do the snap downs, go the safe route. Raymond's approach is just be explosive and do it absolutely correct. Do it 100% right every single time. There's absolutely no excuses at all whatsoever. So going back to your question, what's the difference? What's it like coming back 20 years later? In a lot of ways, I feel like the way I felt my first year wrestling, my second year wrestling, because the Dagestani wrestling style is such a high level, and Raymond being a former Russian national champion, he's going to make you do it the way the Russians do it, and it's absolutely correct. There's no room for error at all. So it's challenging in the right way for me, and it makes you tougher. No matter what, you're going to get tougher in that room, and that's the big part of the reason why I do it.
Okay. How does the conditioning compare? Like, what does he expect from you as an athlete now, and like, what kind of conditioning were you doing in the college room?
It wasn't much. It's not much. It's comparable to a Division I college wrestling practice, but not quite on that level, because we are paying students.
Not selected from a talent pool.
Like in college, it's absolutely miserable. But you don't stop. There's no sitting down in practice. There's no waste of time at all. You drink water when the coach lets you drink water. You have 60 minutes. Then after that's done, there's optional conditioning. It's not optional, right? He says it's optional, but everyone's expected to do it. So you do 100, neck raises.
Yeah, the neck bridge.
The neck bridge. You do 20 shots. You do jumping, which is the first practice is absolutely miserable with Raymond, but you always feel great after 5 or 6 practices. You get used to it.
Okay,
but that's a really good question.
So in Hanoi, you were talking about this one gentleman and Mr. Ba. What is Mr. Ba doing these days? Is he still in Hanoi?
He's not. He's actually here, and he started Dragon MMA, which actually started in Hanoi.
Okay.
5 or 6 years ago, and now he kind of moved it down here. Maybe he has a gym in Hanoi. Still, I'm not sure, but he's got a pretty good MMA gym there, and mostly Vietnamese. But Raymond coaches there once a week. Pablo now teaches there 5 days a week, starting tomorrow. A lot of good talent, a lot of rising Vietnamese MMA stars in the making.
Yeah, so you've got the wrestling, you've got the jiu-jitsu, you've got the Dagestani, you've got the Brazilian. Everything is coming together there.
Yeah, it's a really great place to train, and the Vietnamese are always happy to see foreigners come in and train with them.
For sure, always welcoming.
Absolutely. So for you, you've been here. We've been here about the same amount of time, right? I got here May of last year.
Yeah, I've been here about 2 years now.
Okay, 2 years. So you've seen a lot of change in the combat sports scene in Vietnam since you've been here.
Yeah, well, the biggest one is the progression of MMA on the stage, because like Lion Championship is pretty new. Now we're running into the third season. AFC, the Korean promotion, has been putting events on. This will be the second year for international promotion to be putting events on in Vietnam.
Fantastic.
They also have the Dragon Fight League now, which is primarily Vietnamese fighters. I'm not sure if they're accepting foreign fighters, but a little bit more striking focused MMA, just based on the rule set and the venue. It's in a hexagon, more of a boxing ring style, no cage. But also a very exciting show. Lots of high level guys in there. Great to go watch this one, get a little bit of the local experience. I haven't been to a Dragon event, but the Dragon Fight League, man, I've seen some of the highlights online, and like it looks like a fun evening. You get to go watch the action. The venue is pretty neat. A little bit different than what you'd expect from a traditional arena vibe, where if you go watch like Lion Championship.
Where do they hold those?
I'm not quite sure the location. I've just seen some of the promotions online and some of the highlights.
Have you been to Dragon MMA?
No, I've been to Dragon MMA, but it's pretty central. I've watched like Lion Championship is right by there. They've been holding events at this.
I've been to Dragon many times. We'll go there. We'll go there soon.
Yeah, maybe next week or the following weekend. Go check it out.
Yeah.
Go visit Pablo.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll have to check the schedule.
He's teaching in the evening.
Okay, so I'll check the schedule, see when Rafael's going to be there, and then just avoid that time. I don't want to be drawn into any of your open mat situations.
Oh my gosh, the open mat, the freestyle wrestling open mat. I was the only one who showed up. Guess what? 6 freestyle matches in a row with Raymond, 1 minute break in between.
Yeah, and this is why I don't go places when you invite me.
Yeah,
I would have been sharing half that time with you.
I was gonna make a reel of all the takedowns that happened between Raymond and I over 6 matches.
File exceeds data size,
and of course Raymond got all of them. And there's a 60-second limit on Instagram reels, and then after I got done with it, keep in mind each takedown 2 to 3 seconds. It was like 2 minutes and 47 seconds of just straight Dagestani takedowns.
Well, you've got footage for the next couple of days. Just content.
I've got reels for the next 3 months, but they're just me getting slaughtered.
Courtesy of Raymond.
Yes, but in this growth that you've seen in the last 2 years, who do you see the key influencers in the Vietnam combat sports scene?
When it comes to grappling, though, like Cory at Over Under Submission Grappling is the mind he has is just like, man, he breaks things down in a way like you can ask him any question and all the answers are right there, and he makes you feel like he doesn't know, but like he has all the information. He can answer anything you ask him. He's got an encyclopedia of knowledge, just like instructional videos, every highlight and like championship from how many years back, it's all right here at the top of his mind. So being able to train with him has been pretty special.
He certainly advances my thinking around grappling. Every time I go to a class, I think differently about jiu-jitsu and my approach to grappling altogether.
For sure. And then having the opportunity to train with Pablo Eduardo, who will be fighting on the 20th, or I guess at this point when the episode comes out, he will already have had his fight on the 24th in Ho Tram, and super high level jiu-jitsu, excellent teacher, very humble guy. He's someone who should keep an eye on, because he just seems like he's got the head for it. He's working with Lucas Bauti at Rooster Muay Thai now. His striking is already looking sharp, but man, he seems like the guy who's just like ready to go to the next level.
5-0, the longest MMA fight he's ever had, 90 seconds, all by submission.
Yeah, a killer. And he seems like he just needs to get a few more things in a row, make some good connections, and like he'll be up on the highest stage before we know it. So definitely someone to watch out for, to do big things internationally. But as far as Vietnamese athletes, like we need to see the grappling evolve, because once you get to the higher levels, everyone has the jiu-jitsu base. everyone has the wrestling background. Like the new generation of fighters, they're not just grapplers, they're not just strikers. They've been training MMA since they're 10 years old. They have all of the pieces, and they're bringing them all to the table. So if you're missing any of one of these areas, it's just a matter of time before you get exposed.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of big influences. You train with Lucas in Muay Thai. You train with Raymond. You train with Cory.
I try not to train with Raymond, actually. So
you're going to be pretty tough if you train with all three of those guys. But I think that there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of gyms here in Vietnam that not everyone knows about, and there's a lot of undiscovered talent, training partners, competitors, future coaches here in Vietnam that I think Vietnam is going to be a completely different scene 5 years from now. Oh. Just like it was 5 years ago, the scene almost didn't exist.
Man, in the 2 years since I've been here, like you go to an open mat, and there are just like all these unnamed Vietnamese guys, and their jiu-jitsu isn't necessarily that high level, but they are tough. They're tough to submit. They're tough to control. They have this it's not a wrestling background. It's not a jiu-jitsu background. It's just like a willingness to scrap in every position. They're slippery.
They have their own wrestling here in Vietnam, a local style in Vietnam.
Yeah, I saw there was a tournament recently. It looked mighty uncomfortable to be participating in that. The surface they were competing on, oh man, it looks stiff.
But was it like ground surface?
It's like a raised platform. I'm not actually sure what it is, but it had some kind of matting on it. But on top, it looked to me like tarp. Like it didn't look like it was really padded.
Well, that sounds a lot similar to what we had in Vung Tau in December.
Ah, okay, like at the beach battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was not looking that soft.
Yeah, it was like a little harder than what you'd expect on a wrestling mat or mats, but maybe it was something similar to that. But do you know where this tournament was?
No, I just saw something on Instagram.
That's something I'd really like to learn more about.
Yeah.
What's the local style of Vietnamese wrestling and
is it new? Has this been around forever and we're just not exposed to it?
I think a lot of countries have their own wrestling style. Like Mongolia has their own. It's heavy in wrestling, especially on the local level. That's something we can explore.
Yeah.
Later on.
Absolutely, man.
But
that would be really cool if we can get somebody on the show who's kind of just bigger into that scene.
I think what we're going to do is get you in a tournament and really experience this because you're an up and coming grappler and wrestler yourself. So why not challenge yourself?
We'll see. Go out to the countryside, see what we can find.
Yeah, I think it'd be most interesting in the countryside.
Like you can't do this kind of event in the city. There's no way.
It's too influenced by other things. Here Saigon is a melting pot of martial arts grappling styles from around the world. So you got to go up in the mountains to see what it really is.
Find something pure. Find the building blocks
raw, absolutely,
of what all these athletes are being built upon.
Exactly.
But yeah, as far as the Vietnamese athletes, like in Thailand, there's still that huge push to really preserve Muay Thai, and here they have the striking base, but there seems to be so much interest in MMA in general. Like if you look at how young the sport is here, the awareness from 2 years ago to now, it is just growing and growing and growing. And I really think, like, especially in those lower weight classes, the amount of Vietnamese who are going to start crawling up the ranks in some of the higher organizations, some of the premier promotions.
Absolutely.
It's an exciting time.
Yeah, so I think a lot of them are starting to figure out that, I really need to be a good grappler if I want to be a successful MMA fighter, right? Because they're heavy on striking, the Vietnamese, very good at striking, but really starting to take hold of grappling approaches and integrating that into their game. Whereas the Brazilians are very, very good grapplers. They have real strong base in grappling. But so in your 2 years here, before you came here, you were mainly just jiu-jitsu, correct?
Yeah, previous to coming here, I was just training jiu-jitsu. Spent a lot of time in the gi, in the cold weather in Canada, and now that I'm here, it's a little bit too hot for that. But I've been enjoying training no gi so much more. When I do return back to Canada for a holiday, I will go back to my old gym, throw on the gi, get that time in. But looking forward to training with a lot of the guys that you left behind. Like my professor is training at Upper Academy in Calgary. It's an Alliance affiliated gym.
Yeah.
And this Professor Andre Cory, great coach, the guy who really made me understand what top pressure is.
For sure.
His son, Matthew Curie, up there, also a purple belt. Man, some of the highlights that he's putting out in big tournaments in North America, he's kind of seems like he's at the top of that belt level now. Young kid, like just into the adult division now, and
for sure,
it's going to be great to go back and train with some of those guys because my level has exceeded so much.
Yeah. So what has that being said? How has your perception of combat sports training changed over the last 2 years in your approach since you come to Vietnam?
The biggest difference is since I've started training Muay Thai, it has changed my entire perspective on like what is grappling and what is true martial art. Just especially the Muay Thai clinch. There's nothing like it. This is where I really feel that if you're with an untrained opponent, they have no shot. Like if you can control their limbs, if you can off balance them, play with their base. In striking, you always have the puncher's chance. In wrestling, you have someone who's big and strong and just like pure wrestling technique, you can always just exchange. Like we are inherently meant to grapple. If you watch chimps move, if you watch children play and wrestle, like grappling makes sense. Animals, they do it. Like if you watch two kangaroos sparring, they're digging for underhooks, they're controlling limbs. This is what Muay Thai is all about. It's just like bicep control, protecting yourself. The biggest difference between wrestling and a true martial art like Muay Thai, where you're bridging the gap and you're pushing the envelope towards violence.
Yeah, absolutely.
And being exposed to like knees to the body. Like, these are weapons that will put you down. It doesn't matter how tough you are. If you take a knee to the liver, you take a knee to the solar plex, and you're not prepared for it, it doesn't matter what you have done to get ready. Like, you're gonna turn white and go sit down in the corner.
Yeah, it's almost like the true intersection of grappling and striking sports is the Muay Thai clinch. Would you agree?
Well, initially, when I started training jiu-jitsu, and like anyone, like two things happen. Either you're like, wow, this is terrible, I want nothing to do with this, then you never come back. Or you're like, wow, someone who is weaker than me, looks less athletic, someone who you thought you could just easily manhandle, next thing you know, they're just on top of you, choking you out.
Yeah. So
you're saying, okay, whatever they're doing, I need to start doing that. And then, like most people who train, you come once, and now it's a lifestyle. Whether you're a competitor or a hobbyist, it's like the primary thing in your life now becomes grappling.
It's like you're at an intersection.
Yeah, so like when you get into jiu-jitsu and start training, you just have this epitome of like, wow, this is the reality of the fight game. It's like, if it truly is technique over everything else. And of course, size matters, strength matters, but like, if you're going against somebody who is untrained and you're trained in the jiu-jitsu rule set, there's nothing they can do.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting to relive this like 5 years later, 6 years later in the Muay Thai clinch. Because striking is like in distance, you're pretty aware of like, okay, how dangerous somebody actually is. That is obvious to me. But being thrown around by someone who's really dominant in the clinch, even having a little bit of a wrestling base and a grappling base, and thinking I know what's up, and then just being used as a mop, pushed around on the floor, casually swept off balance. This is what is amazing to me, is like wrestling is explosive. You need to be explosive. You need to put in the effort. The beauty in Muay Thai is just like off balancing, the foot sweeps, really just getting somebody to step and play with their base. I guess the beautiful wrestling is the same, but to achieve that same level, it's a little bit more available in Muay Thai.
It's funny how martial arts really challenges our comfort zone, and we have a decision to make. Do I want to continue being comfortable in the martial art that I'm good at? Or do I really want to embrace this new style, embrace striking when I'm a good grappler, embrace grappling when I'm a good striker, and, to get better at something, or to pursue true growth,
Yeah, I hear that. Like for myself, training jiu-jitsu, you just, okay, I'm going to go train now. It's going to be fun. It's going to be light. Even hard rounds, like you've just had the experience.
Mm-hmm.
So it's never that intimidating. But going to train Muay Thai is like, if I know we have to run the next day, I'm already thinking about it when I go to bed. And then getting to the gym, like for someone who's just getting into it, you're so inefficient. So everything is hard. The things that should be light and easy and fluid, when you have these inefficiencies, it just comes down to like putting in more energy, having more exertion. So for the first like 2 months, every single session, no matter what we did, I was just exhausted by the end of it. And now I'm starting to feel that turn a little bit. At least some of the lighter activities.
But your boys are there.
Yeah.
Your boys, and that makes it a little
there.
easier, right?
And now you're there, sweating, dying in the corner. So
I mean, I had to make that hard decision. For the longest time, I hated striking. I didn't want to strike. I'm not a striker. I'm a grappler. I'm a wrestler. I don't want to get punched in the face, but I had to make that decision.
Like right now, it's the learning curve is beautiful because you go and each week you progress so much. Like in the grand scheme of things, yeah, you're still a beginner. Yeah, you're still terrible. But if you look at yourself 1 week ago, you're like, wow, I have stark
2 days ago.
improvement. Two days ago.
2 days.
But you're still at the point where you're getting like 300% better every session. And this happens like for the first month, noticeably after every session, I felt like I was like, wow, I've actually improved drastically. And then if you see yourself on film, to someone who's had a lot of experience and has trained for a while, it probably looks terrible.
It does look terrible.
But
that's okay.
When you see it on film and then think, wow, like a month ago, 2 months ago, I can't imagine doing that. I can't imagine kicking that high.
There's also no expectations.
Yeah, it's life of a white belt all over again.
I'm
fine with
that.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. So, and that's a big reason why I go to Muay Thai. And the reason.
Well, that's one reason. You just got foot swept, so now you have to change your whole training regimen.
I did get foot swept, and you got to do something about it.
And life moves on.
Wait a second. How did you get a takedown on me in a striking sport? That's what really got me. You went to a striking sport, striking training, every 4 or 5 times a week for the last.
Yeah, 6 days a week for a while.
6 days a week for the last 4 months.
No, I trained there almost 3 months now.
And then you come back to wrestling or grappling and get a takedown.
Yeah.
How does that happen? So that's really what challenged my process.
I just look at your game like, okay, what is Zach doing this week? It only takes me like a week or two to figure, okay, he likes to pass guard this way and moves the arm triangle. Okay, deal with it. Okay, he's learned one heel hook entry. Okay, just deal with that setup. It's just like, I'm just putting up a wall for whatever you're good at. Oh, he wants to do stand-up because he can't pass my guard. All right, well, I got to go figure something else out. Because I'm not going to go to Raymond's class and suffer. I know that much. So I had to find another way.
I mean, that's really when I started to pay attention to the Muay Thai clinch. Like, okay, all right. So that's what got me into Muay Thai. So this week I'll go to my 3rd Muay Thai.
All right.
Class.
Have there been any gyms in Vietnam that have really left an impression on you?
That's a really good question.
Like regards to talent or coaching or facility or just like the training vibe?
So I left 3 years ago in 2020, and there was almost no grappling scene that that I remember. You know, I didn't spend a lot of time in Saigon. I had trained in Hanoi Dragon a little bit, but effectively, because I was living in Muay Thai, there's really no scene out there. I did not really, when I left, I did not experience a scene here in Vietnam, or at least it wasn't well known. I come back last year, not expecting a lot. I found a few gyms online before I came here on Facebook, and the gym that really stood out to me was Over Under, because everyone was talking about Cory. I sent some messages, hey, where's some gyms I can train in Saigon when I land? And because I was planning on staying in Muay Thai for 6 or 8 months, and then move to Da Nang, right? But when I came here, I hit a bunch of different gyms. I think the second one I went to was Team Shark, and
that's a tough room.
They really, and there wasn't a lot of people there at the time, but they really made an impression on me, and the impression was, hey, Saigon has a really cool grappling community, and it really made me want to find a way to make it work to live here in Saigon, and notably it was Q and Alex. It was just Q and Alex there, and we just rolled for an hour. We just did I guess Shark Tank.
Yeah, odd man out.
We just did.
Or they just
Shark Tank.
Or was it an open
Team
mat?
Shark.
So they just stuck you in the middle.
It was an open mat, and then I was like, man, these guys are tough. We had some really good rounds, and then they took me to coffee afterwards, and we talked, and I was like, man, these guys are really cool. So that was the first time I had a real impression of the Saigon grappling community that made me think, man, there's a lot of potential here. I really want to be part of this community.
Yeah, Team Shark's a nice room, and now they've got some tough guys in there. Yeah. Rafael's there pretty often. Jovidon is there sometimes. Vince is training there a decent amount. Chris is going there.
Yeah.
A lot of tough roles.
Yeah, and I think it's really cool how here in Saigon we have a lot of small gyms that each kind of bring their own style, right? In their own little community. And you can learn something from each one. Like, we have a really good community at Cory's. Arcane has its own little subculture of the grappling community.
Yeah, if you're willing to venture out that far.
Which really good guard, really good leg lock sequences, as we found out over Tet. And then you've got a lot of Vietnamese gyms that aren't as well known, that have their own style. So yeah, Team Sharks was the first one that made a real impression on me when I came here.
Yeah, I've been there a few times, and it's always a good time. They've got a nice new facility, new mats.
Yeah. Tough
rolls on a Sunday for the open mat.
Yeah. So it's really about, like, for me, a lot of people look at grappling and combat sports as, especially my aunt. My aunt just sees me wrestling, and it's hard for her to watch. It's hard for her to watch, even in the video, even if it's a match that she knows I'm going to win, it's still hard for her to watch. But for me, it's just as much, or maybe even more, about the camaraderie and the community in the grappling world here in Vietnam, and globally. Really, you can really just go into any city, go to a grappling gym, and you have a circle of high quality friends.
Oh, absolutely. The only thing that is holding me back from spending more time at the gym is just physical fatigue. It's not even about always training, just going to hang out, see who's there, talk to the guys, get some rolls in. If the body was conducive to just dealing with more and more sessions in the day, and I think about really what makes me happy is training more, even without championship aspirations, even without trying to make the podium, even without wanting to really compete that much.
Yeah, for sure.
The community is amazing. You meet the most wonderful people.
Yeah, absolutely. What what is how does the community here in Vietnam in the camaraderie compare to other places you trained, like Canada? I think you mentioned you trained a bit in Europe.
Yeah, well, like mostly I would consider like my home gym. I guess now that's over under for grappling, but in Canada, the gym I always return to is Upper Academy. It's an alliance gym, and it's awesome to train there, but you don't get that mix of like going to as many open mats and having as many visitors. Sometimes we'll have some, but it's more just like a close-knit gym where you're training with the same group of guys. Whereas in Saigon, like it's really so open. You've got guys coming from other gyms who are training, like even just in the city here regularly at 3 different academies a week. You've got a lot of visitors coming through, but maybe it's a little bit different than somewhere like Bali where people come for 2 weeks or come for a month and then never come back. You get people coming here for like a month, then they leave and they're like, oh, I'll come and stay for half a year. Or they end up spending a couple months here sporadically throughout the year for years on a time. So you get to, train with somebody for a few weeks, then you don't see them for a month, then all of a sudden they're back for 2 months. And they're always bringing something new to the game, right? When you travel and train different places, that's where you really learn and expand your mind, learn new techniques, see what's out there, right? If you're always under the same professor, like you are just limiting yourself. And you're seeing that in the game at the highest level and in the local gyms. Like the top academies are the ones who are bringing in like a rotation of new talent. They're sending guys out to go and like acquire more knowledge from other gyms. It all comes down to community, right? It's not about just like protecting what you have in there. It's about like bringing different coaches in, bringing different training partners in. Yeah. So this is like at my academy in Canada is the same. As they're always trying to bring like different guys, some of the top guys from Alliance, like Lucas Lepre, like really high level names to build that level and keep everyone improving. But you don't have that same same intermingling of, okay, every Saturday, like everyone is coming from the city to come to this open mat. Okay, on Sunday, no matter where you train, everyone is coming to go congregate at a different open mat. So you're constantly training with everyone. Like in that academy, I was mostly training with the same training partners every day, and then occasionally you get another instructor. So like both systems work. There's merits to both of them, right? Yeah. You don't want to be jumping around too much, because if you have a good coach and they invest in you, they know your patterns, they know what you need to work on, they know what you're good at. But at the same time, you need to, you do need to reach out. You need to continue to evolve your game if you want to be effective. Yeah.
Real quick, what do you think the grappling community, the combat sports community in Vietnam looks like 5 years from now?
Oh, man. If you look at how much it has changed in the last 2 years, I think from the beginning of 2024 to the end of this year is going to be astounding. Not just in grappling, but in MMA. The level that these guys are progressing, the amount of interest that is coming. Like you've got a developing nation where so many people now are having the money to go and do combat sports. The awareness is there. Like UFC, like these events, people are interested, they're talking about it. One championship, people are interested, they're talking about it, they want to go watch with their friends. You see this now with grappling as well. There's so many more people who just are expressing interest, not only in training, but just like in being a fan of the sport. And 2 years ago, this just didn't exist to the same level it does today. There was no local Vietnamese MMA scene. Like, how do you expect to grow the market and have people excited about watching international events when there are no Vietnamese athletes, when there are no local events you can go watch? And now that's all changing so quickly.
There's a new generation of Vietnamese fighters.
Absolutely. There's a new generation of Vietnamese gyms. There's a new generation of Vietnamese MMA promotions. There's a new generation of international promotions coming to Vietnam to hold events. And we're talking exponential growth. The talent that is coming here for grappling, the talent that is coming here for striking, like Thailand is saturated. And guys want to come here and really build something.
They're really putting efforts into training with the best in the world. I just met a guy this morning a Vietnamese guy that I didn't know about, high level, really tough. He's going to ATOS in San Diego to train for 3 or 4 weeks. You know, think about how much effort that what he has to go through to travel all the way to America from here to train for 3 or 4 weeks in America. It's not cheap, you know. So they're starting to see the value, and they really appreciate grappling. Whereas 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even 3 or 4 years ago, it just didn't really exist. So who knows where it's going to be?
Yeah. Well, it's like
now.
Vietnam is starting to become more popular on the the seminar circuit. High level guys are coming here. Guys are coming here to train. You really get a feeling of people come here and then they see what Vietnam is about, and they think, oh, okay, it's not just about jiu-jitsu. Like the no-gi scene here is great, but the lifestyle, the community, the camaraderie, the connection between all these different gyms and everyone training together, like it's a great place to come and live. It's a great place to come and spend your time.
What's something that's coming up that you're excited about in combat sports?
The weekend? Sunday, that's my rest day, so I'm always excited for that.
It's a rest day for me today. but yeah, any like dragons getting bigger, or Lion Championships getting bigger? You have all these new circuits that are developing. Anything that you're excited about?
The most exciting thing to me is like every time you watch Lion Championship, you have no idea who's going to be rising to the top. Like it could be a foreign fighter, or it could be a Vietnamese guy that no one has heard of, and then you get to see him fight for the first time on a main promotion and be like, wow, you are seeing the future.
A guy that you may have trained with.
A guy that I trained with
gym last month.
And a guy who has no fame, nobody knows who he is. He's training at like a small gym somewhere.
Yep.
And somehow, some way, like you can just see these guys, they're getting ready to progress to the next level. But it also comes down to like who is coming here, the knowledge that's coming here. Some good no-gi players are coming to visit.
We got Diego coming next week.
Yeah, we're like a top guy in the international circuit.
Yep.
This wasn't happening 2 or 3 years ago. Like you just didn't have these high-level guys coming to Vietnam and looking to potentially stay here for a while and build something, grow the community, not just necessarily coming for a visit, but really trying to progress the scene here.
Yeah, we won't discuss this too much on this episode because we've got another 6 weeks or so. But your first Muay Thai fight is coming up. I know I'm excited to watch it. I know An is excited to watch it because he has one too. And I know a lot of people, a lot of my friends are looking forward to watching you in Boom Tao.
Yeah, there's actually a second intergym tournament around that time as well.
Oh, really?
Because I don't have an opponent or anything. I'm not exactly sure how they set that up, but my coach is confident he'll find somebody. So now with 2 tournaments, they should be able to find a good opponent. And yeah, Ann will fight as well. And I'll talk to Lucas and see if we can get somebody lined up for you. That'd be great. Just throw you in the mix.
Oh, man. Just let me get some practices in. That's all. I've only had 2 Muay Thai practices so far.
We're going to get you in
there.
The bell's going to ring. And
the 16-ounce gloves and with the face protection.
Yeah, it's you're basically in a padded room. It's fail-safe.
That sounds pretty good.
Good for kids.
That sounds good for me.
It's a nice entry-level warm-up. So,
yeah, that sounds good.
What has you excited for 2024?
Honestly, I'm just what I'm excited about most is Muay Thai, because it's really changed the way I think about combat sports and really challenged me in a lot of ways. And now striking, I found fun and joy and excitement in striking where I haven't really before. You know, it's hard to find that when you're getting punched in the face by Felipe in the cage, for hours at a time. But now that I have Lucas, who is, a seasoned Muay Thai coach, and I've got my boys training with me, it's easier to go to Muay Thai practice now. So I'm excited to see, I'm excited to kind of explore that, and I'm excited to be a student in striking.
Yeah. It's a fun room. There's
But I'm also exciting in terms of grappling. I'm excited because I really do believe that 2024 is going to be a big year where Team Vietnam is going to come together and to compete internationally in Thailand, compete in Malaysia, compete in Bali, and I think that a lot of different gyms can kind of come together and travel together and compete with each other in their corner. You know,
absolutely.
When we're there, you know, we're really all on the same team. You know what I mean? Like here in Vietnam, you know, I might look across the mat and I might see Vince, you know, at a tournament, or I might see Heap, you know, or I might even see you one day if you ever make it to the finals. But we're really just one big team. We're really just one big team, and it's really cool when we can go to Thailand and compete, which is just coming up in 3 weeks or so. Heap is actually going to be in the absolute division with me there,
okay.
But
so you're gonna have to make it to the final if you want to face him though. Good luck.
That's the tough. We got at least 14 people in that absolute bracket. It's tough in Thailand. You know, some say it's the toughest ADCC in Southeast Asia. We'll see.
So ADCC,
so
that's in Phuket.
In Phuket, 9 March. So which is 3 weeks.
Okay.
3 weeks from now. So I'm excited about Team Vietnam competing together on an international scene in a way that it hasn't really been done before. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's going to be a great year.
Yeah, it is going to be a great year. Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, for Vietnam, the future is bright.
Are you really still here? If you're still here, that means you're a dedicated listener. We would like to hear from you. If you're still listening to this, free bowl of noodles, either pho, bun cha, or whatever else you prefer, on the house. Isn't that exciting? Just reach out with the keyword Mirko, M-I-R-K-O, and you get your free bowl of noodles.